Hey guys, it's Helen Hartsmith here, coming at you from New Hampshire. So it's actually Friday morning of my visit here in New Hampshire. I flew in yesterday, flew into Boston, Logan International Airport, and then I took a bus up to Newburyport and at Newburyport, Massachusetts. And then I was picked up there by my new friend that I'm staying with, and her name is Jocelyn. And so she has this beautiful farm, and that's where I'm staying. And holy cow, you guys, the country is beautiful. The Jocelyn's farm is amazing. Um, got here about, I guess, around between 2 and 3 in the afternoon yesterday, and hung out with her, and we talked about our lives, and we talked about our practices a little bit. And she has this beautiful home that is in the middle of construction. So if you hear any background noise, that might be the guys working on the flooring downstairs. So I'm actually staying in Jocelyn's magical room, which is beautiful. Jocelyn is involved with the Temple of Witchcraft. And so I'm very, very grateful that she allowed me to stay here with her, and to kind of hang out with her and talk and make a new friend. So I'm very grateful to be here. And as far as I know, all 5 of us that are participating in graduation tonight, we're all in the area. So I'm really excited to meet these guys for the first time in person. I think I'm friends on Facebook with all 4 of them, but we've never met face to face. And I know that I think all of them know each other. I think they've been to Temple Fest and various things like that. So I believe that they're all familiar with each other. And 2 of them are actually staying together. And I don't know how okay they are with me mentioning their names, so I won't do so just yet. I'll wait until I talk with them and say, hey, do you mind? um, but so yeah, it's things have been really easy so far. The traveling was really easy. I found my way through the airports very easy, and to my plane and things like that. And I wasn't nervous about flying or anything like that. I've flown before. It's been a long time, and this was only the second trip for me. But I was nervous because I was by myself. And, a lot of times it's easier to navigate when you've got someone to say, oh, I think we're supposed to go this way. And so since I didn't have that, that was the one thing that I was a little bit anxious about, but everything went really well. So I'm really happy about that. I'm excited about graduation tonight. Because it's a graduation from a mystery school. Of course, you don't know what to expect. So Jocelyn is a graduate, and I made sure to not ask questions like that because it's about the mystery. It's about the experience. So I'm okay going into this blind. That's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have an experience. But I thought I'll try to do a little style video like what Kathy and I do at Convocation. I'll take little snippets throughout the trip and put them all together once I'm home. So I'm trying to post quite a bit to Instagram so that y'all can kind of follow what's happening there. Yeah, it's very quiet and peaceful here, even though there's construction. I mean, you know that the construction's going on, but it's okay. The weather's pretty good here. It's really sunny today. Like in this room right here, the lighting is from there's two skylights in this room, and one of them is just partially open. The curtains are partially open. So the lighting is beautiful. The sun is out today. Jocelyn has horses, so and cows and baby chicks in the back room. So this is definitely a working farm. So it's pretty interesting. So yeah, so that's it for today. I'm sure that I might have other thoughts later once the graduation is done. And then tomorrow is the temple's Astara ritual that I'm going to go to. So I'm pretty excited about that. I packed pretty light, so hopefully I go back pretty light and we'll see what happens. So that's it for now. I'll check in later. Bye. Hey guys, it's Helen Hartsmith here again, coming at you from New Hampshire. So it's Saturday morning. And so therefore it is the morning after graduation. What? Like, I'm having trouble putting things into words. Just how amazing and intense and powerful the initiation ritual was. Before I talk about that though, let me kind of talk a little bit more about the day. So I spent a majority of the day helping Jocelyn, the person that I'm staying with, make food to take. So that was really amazing. She's on this pretty cool diet that I kind of want to take a look into, and it's about eating cleaner basically, and eliminating sugars and processed foods and things like that. So we made a couple of things to take to initiation for after snacks. So that was really fun. The coolest thing was chickpea wraps. So it's made, or not chickpea garbanzo. You use garbanzo flour and you make wraps, and then you put your stuff in it. So that was pretty cool. But I really enjoy Jocelyn. She's smart. She's funny. She's got a heart of gold, and I'm just so grateful to her that she's allowed me to stay in her home and stay in her magical room, for Pete's sake. Oh my gosh, that's huge. So anyhow, that's a majority of the day. And then we met for dinner with a couple of my classmates that I'd never met before. So I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I've never met anyone besides Christopher, Adam, and Steve. Those are the only people from the temple that I've met. I mean, I've talked with folks online because, of course, I've had mentors and students, and the classmates, we interact and stuff. I'm friends with a lot of my classmates on Facebook and other social media, but I'd never met any of them face to face. So we had dinner with Dan and with Karen, so there were 3 of 5 of us that were at dinner. And then we met Karen's mentor, who had been her mentor for all 5 years, Irma, and her husband, Bob. So there were 6 of us for dinner. And what a joyful, I mean, I wanted to squeal like a little girl when I saw Dan and Karen. And I mean, there were just hugs, and there was just like this amazing, intense love in the air, even though we were just meeting each other for the first time. And Dan and Karen are pretty close already, and you can tell that. But I felt like very accepted by everyone. And so that's intense, So, excuse me. So we had dinner, and that was great. And the 3 of us were pretty nervous, and kept things pretty light as far as our fare, which is a smart thing to do, because initiation rituals they're deep workings, and it's meant to be that way. So that's fine. So having a salad for dinner is totally fine. So then we headed over to the temple, which I'd never been, of course, to the temple before. And very just intense feelings this whole weekend thus far, and I'm sure there's more to come. But went in to the house and saw Christopher for the first time in a long time. I mean, we talked during my interview and stuff, but I haven't seen him in a few years, and Adam and Steve. So, and there I met the other two guys in our class that were graduating, and Justin and Fred. And again, more hugs, more instant love, more instant bonding, and some quick getting to know you as we were waiting for things to get underway. And then we kind of assembled, we donned our robes and our other various accoutrements for the ritual, and assembled in the temple room. And of course, I can't talk too much about the details of the ritual itself, but Christopher did take some amazing time before the ritual started to have there were 12 people present. So there were the five of us that were being initiated, and then there were oh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Okay, hopefully it'll stay at bay. Everyone else that was present were already initiated. So they were already high priests and priestesses of the temple. And so he had us go around and talk about, well, he started with those that had initiated already and had them kind of say a few words. And then he had us talk about, what was it about, like what are the big things that we're taking out of this last year. And so that was really cool because I had already heard about everyone's at least, a vague idea of everyone's final projects and things like that, but it was really great to have them talk about it in person, because that's a completely different thing to talk about it in person. And I know you guys get that because I talk to you all the time, but it was cool to see their excitement and their kind of like their highs and their lows, which is something that I definitely had throughout my time. So that was really intense. And then then we did the ritual, and I will say that the ritual is powerful and beautiful, and it's filled with love and support. And to have, so there were five of us that were being initiated. And so that means that there were 7 people there that were supporting us. And that is like the most powerful part of, well, not the most powerful part. That was a very large, powerful part of the experience, was to have that support there. So I'm grateful to have had everyone there like they were. And then we received our necklaces, which, if you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, I posted pictures, but here's the amber and jet necklace that is a symbol of your finishing. And I can't even put into words the feelings there, because there's so many that I have when I look and hold this necklace. And it was intense. It was intense, and there was a sense of completion, and a sense of finishing, of course, but there's still work to be done. I don't intend to I don't intend to ever stop learning or stop growing or um, stop my practice. I mean, that's the nature of who we are as witches, is that we continue to evolve even as, an initiation comes to a completion. So yeah, it was pretty amazing last night, and um, pretty geeked about it. So then we got to kind of hang out and have some snacks and drinks and stuff afterwards. So that was another, more bonding and more knowing each other and things like that. So I'm really glad that I'm relieved and so happy that I was able to be here and be able to meet these amazing people, and so grateful for that. So Saturday morning, and today, two of my classmates, Dan and Karen, are giving a class about Doreen Valiente, and I'm going to be attending that. So that should be super interesting. And then the Astara ritual is this evening. So lots more to experience before I go home tomorrow. So I guess that's it for this little update. We'll see what tomorrow holds. I probably won't get a chance to, because I have to leave pretty early. So I'll probably make another video like once I get home and kind of splice all this stuff together. So that's it for now. See ya next time. Hey guys. So yes, obviously I'm back home now. It's actually a couple of days since I returned from my trip. So where did we leave off? Oh, it was Saturday morning, right? So Saturday afternoon, I attended a class that two of my classmates presented, Dan and Karen. Hi guys, you're awesome. So they did a class all about Doreen Valiente, and it was really informative. It was very well put together. They also included a meditation, as we sometimes, all the time, I think, do in temple teachings. We did a meditation to actually hopefully meet with Doreen, and that was successful for me, and that was quite an interesting experience. So the class was quite interesting, and I hope that they can somehow offer that again, because it was quite, as I said, quite a unique and interesting experience. As some have dubbed her the mother of modern witchcraft, and I would have to say that I agree with them. Doreen definitely contributed a lot to the modern witchcraft movement, and it was really great to kind of learn some more about her. So that was super interesting. And then, of course, that evening was the Temple of Witchcraft's Astara ritual, which was really, like, I don't want to say the same words over and over again, but it was really cool to experience it. The actual ritual took place in a town hall that's like pretty much open. It's like this whole open area it's available for rent, I'm assuming. I don't know too much about like the history of this building or what it's used for now or anything like that, but it's located in Derry, New Hampshire. And so that is where the class took place as well. And so I don't know like a head count of how many people were there, but it was definitely a large ritual. It was probably like the largest ritual that I'd ever participated in outside of convocation. So great energy. It was honestly like the perfect time for someone who had never been to a temple ritual to be there, because there was so much that was happening. So first of all, Alex, if I remember correctly, Alex is the first high priestess for the Temple of Witchcraft. It's my understanding that her and Christopher have been friends for years, and so she was one of his first students, and I believe she is his first high priestess. And so she led the ritual. And of course, being Astara, it was all about planting seeds and waking the goddess who is in the why is the word escaping me? She's in her maiden aspect at Astara. And so it was all about awakening her. And so it was a beautiful ritual. There was meditation that you met with Kore Persephone. And so that was really interesting. And I got some pretty interesting messages slash perspectives slash ideas slash work from both the ritual meditation and the Doreen Valiente meditation. So that was a great thing to come home with. They also had little clay terracotta pots with seeds that had been planted in them for people to take as part of the ritual. So that was really interesting. It was cool to see how the circle was cast. I'd seen Christopher cast the circle before because as he's been to convocation and led rituals, I've seen him do that. I've participated in those rituals. But it was neat. He and Alex kind of did things together in the high priest and high priestess role. So that was quite interesting. So there was like an invoking of the 12 pillars and you know, things like that was all part of that ritual. So that was interesting. Another thing that was great to be able to witness is that the Temple of Witchcraft has 3 founders, which would be Christopher and his partners, Steve and Adam. And so they serve as the holders of the 3 rays for the temple. And so if you're not familiar with Christopher's book, The 3 Rays, then I would highly recommend checking that out because it's quite an interesting foundation to the Temple of Witchcraft. And so roughly the 3 rays are, they're 3 rays that embody divine will, divine love, and divine wisdom. And they're symbolized by colors, which I'll kind of talk about that a little bit in just a little bit, because I actually made a couple of purchases from the temple store while I was at Ritual. So anyhow, as the embodiment of the 3 rays in the temple, they so as not to become stagnant in any one role, they personify each of those rays in turn. And so what happens is every 3 months, so they don't become stagnant in being, you know, personifying either divine love or divine will or divine wisdom, what they do is they actually rotate the seats, so to speak. So for instance, you know, if Christopher was being the embodiment of divine love, and Steve was wisdom, and Adam was will, then they rotate. So Christopher became will, Steve becomes love, and Adam becomes wisdom. I think I got that right. So they actually have 3 wands that identify the 3 rays. And again, I'll kind of talk about why in just a little bit. But they actually pass off those seats of those rays to each other. And so it was really cool to see that take place. They also there was an ordination at the Astar ritual. So that was really cool, because that's kind of like the next step that I want to work on is I'm going to take this year as a TA for the school, and I'm going to see, you know, I'm going to work with that and become, you know, a little bit better known within the temple, and then I'll apply for ordination. So it was neat to see what that entailed. And they also, I believe it was once every year. It was once a year or once every 6 months. I don't remember. There's basically service awards that's given out by the temple to members that embody, again, based on the 3 rays. So someone who embodies divine wisdom is given an award and a gift from the temple. Someone who embodies divine love is given a gift and is recognized. And the same thing with Will. And so we were able to see those take place. And it was kind of neat because it was again the perfect time to be there, because one of my classmates, Karen, received one of those awards, and she lives in the UK. So she was actually there to receive her award during ritual. That was really cool. So, they're usually given away at Yule. And so for whatever reason, it didn't happen at Yule, and it was going to happen at Imbolc, but they completely forgot about it at the Imbolc ritual. So then it became, Astara when it happened. And I think that was all kind of divine intervention, so that knowing that Karen would be there so that she could, receive hers in person. So that was really cool. So there is a rule when you attend a temple ritual, and that is after ritual, they have basically feasting time. You bring a passing dish, and they set up tables and things like that in this space. And there's an expectation that you go up to and speak to 3 people that you've never spoken to before. And so that is basically a way of developing community, which is, of course, what that's kind of, having these open rituals and having this place where we can come together. That's why we need to build community. And so that was really cool to experience as well. So yeah, so that was the ritual. And we were there quite late. It was about 11-ish or so before we headed back to Jocelyn's. And then, of course, I needed to commence with immediate packing so that I could be ready. My flight wasn't super early on Sunday, but it was early enough that I needed to be up by 6 so that I could be ready. And Jocelyn took me to the bus station by 7:30 so that I could get to the airport in Boston on time. So the flight back was non-eventful. I mean, it was very smooth and things like that. So the roomie and our friend Lee picked me up at the airport, and they had little signs. Oh, I should have grabbed one to show you because I kept one. They printed little signs that said "Welcome home, Helens," which is a nickname that I have with some friends that my friend's daughter gave to me when she was young. So it's Helen with a Z on the end. So that was nice. And so we hung out. We kind of made our way home slowly that day, stopped and had lunch together because my flight got in after 1 o'clock. So of course we were starving. So stopped for some lunch, hung out, did a little shopping at Target because that's what we do, and then came home. So that was nice. And then I had enough time to kind of unwind a little bit, unpack, get some laundry started, and all that kind of stuff. So that was basically my trip. So I thought what I would do is just to kind of wrap things up, in a nice tight little bow, I would share with you some things that I purchased from the temple store. There were some things that I really wanted to get while I was in New Hampshire, and luckily enough, I was able to do so. So the first thing that I had to have is a patch. This is the Temple of Witchcraft symbol. And so I wanted this to put on my ritual robe or vest. So that's going to happen soon. So I picked up one of those. And the other thing that I was really looking for was this book. And so this is Ancestors of the Craft. And so this is a group of essays. So it's the lives and lessons of our magical elders, edited by Christopher Penczak. And so in here we have some essays dealing with some of our elders who have passed. People like Aleister Crowley, Dion Fortune, Gerald Gardner, Doreen Valiente, Robert Cochrane, who is a favorite of mine, Stuart Ferrer, and there's also, I noticed that there's an article written by Christopher about his mother Rosalie, who was also a practicing witch, so prior to her death. So this is a book that I really, really wanted, and this is available on the temple webpage if you're interested in something like in this. I'm I'm not sure how much it was. I think it was around $20 or $25. I'm not entirely sure, but you can go check out the website and see how much it is there. And I love this cover because we've got Madame Blavatsky like right there front and center. We've got Alex Saunders. I believe that's Aleister Crowley right there. So the artwork is, oh, and of course Gerald Gardner right there. So that's really neat. Really neat artwork, original artwork. So that's the lovely that I had to have. And then I saw a book that another book of Christopher's that I don't think I've ever seen before. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh, this has to come home with me. So I picked this up. This is the Phosphorus Grove, a dance maybe with love upon the witch's tree. The font's a little hard to read, but what this is, so here's the back cover. So for those of you who don't know this about Christopher, he originally years ago, he was a musician, and I believe he went to college for music and worked for a record company for a time after graduating. And so he has that musical background. And so the contents of this has to do with the Tree of Life, as you see pictured here on the back. And so it's poetic lyrics, if you will, devoted not only to the spheres, but also to the paths. So here we have path 29 to Yesod, and there's some beautiful artwork there. So it talks about the card that particular path corresponds with, which happens to be the moon, the sign, which is Pisces, the door of dream, and then there's this little original piece of poetry. And so I was like, oh, this is amazing. So I had to have it. So I picked this up. So there's lots of really neat artwork / symbology throughout the thing. So I can't wait to kind of get into that. So I was pretty excited about that. And then the last thing that I picked up, I was concerned about getting it home, quite honestly, because, well, they're glass. But Adam, who, it's my understanding that Adam is kind of in charge of all of the items that are sold in the temple store. And so I saw these guys. Let's see, can I lift them all at the same time? So these are candles, and I probably don't have them in the right order because I want to say that the crooked line is in the center. I'm trying to remember what this looks like. These are the symbols, though, for the 3 rays in their corresponding colors, and these are candles. And so what we have here is, I'm trying to juggle them and keep them in the frame and everything. So here we have the red ray, which represents divine will. So there's that beautiful candle. And on the back, there's an invocation for the red ray. So that's really cool. And that's the straight line. Then we have the yellow line, which is the crooked line. And this represents divine wisdom. And again, the invocation for that is on the back. And finally, we have the bent line, which is divine love and is blue in color with its invocation in the back. I just had to have these. And luckily, like, everything packed very nicely for me to come home. And as you can see, they didn't break. So these jars are very much like a 7-day candle. It has like the little divot in the top there, like a 7-day candle does, but obviously it's not as tall. Now, how tall this is and therefore how long it will burn, I'm not totally sure of, but I saw these and I was like, I need like a 3-ray altar in my house somewhere. Why have I not thought about this? So, yeah, I am going to be looking into that and finding a space at home to kind of put a little space aside for the 3 rays so that I'm reminded of the divine love and divine will and divine wisdom. So that's pretty exciting and special sounding for me. So that's pretty much my trip. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot one little thing, one little teaser. So I had spoken to Christopher prior to going out to New Hampshire. And I said, hey, if we get a chance, how do you feel about sitting down and doing a podcast with me? And he was totally open to it. And so we just kind of left it as, if there's time, we'll make it happen. Well, guess what, guys? There was time and we made it happen. And so I've got an interview with Christopher. It's about a 20-minute interview. We found a quiet place after the ritual and sat down, and I asked him some questions. And so I will be posting that on the channel. So look for that. I believe it's going to be episode 404. I think because I think 403 is one that I need to edit and post yet, and that is a part 2 on witchy apps that Kathy and I did. So look for that. It was a great discussion. Christopher is a wonderful person to talk to, and so I hope you look forward to that. So that wraps up in a nice, neat little bow then my trip to New Hampshire for my graduation and for the Astar ritual with the Temple of Witchcraft. It was a dream come true for me to be able to go. I loved my whole time there. So thanks for watching this, and thanks for all your support for me and for the channel, and all your wonderful comments, and all your comments and likes for the pictures that I shared. I might try to post some pictures at the end of this video if it's not super long. I mean, I might need to break this up into a couple of videos. We'll kind of see what happens in post edit. So thanks for walking the path for a little while with me. Until next time, blessed be.